What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm really excited to bring you a battle of the blades. Who's going to be in the battle today? Well, let me bring out the contenders and show you what I got going. First, we're going to have the Demko AD20.5. Pay no attention to this particular variant. It is modified. We are going to be talking about the base model with the AS10A and Gravity scales. Our next contender is one that I think a lot of people probably overlook as a knife in general, but definitely one that I think that they're going to overlook when you think about alternative knives that compete against this particular model that is extremely popular, and that is going to be the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. If it isn't obvious, blade shape here, talking about the shark foot versus the sheep's foot. Modified for both. All right, let's go ahead and run down the specs and talk about why these two knives are actually really good comparison knives, two that are going to compete for the same space in my opinion. First up, we'll talk about the Demko. The AD20.5 has a 3.17 inch AS10A blade steel. Now, when the first batch came out of this, I think early adapters got them, and I don't know that the heat treat was being done appropriately for the AS10A, because when AS10A is heat treated correctly, it's a very good budget steel in that realm of 14C28N, Nitro V, N690, AS10A, all very good steels. So I think I lucked out because I got a later variant because I missed the first two batches. So the first one I got was the clip point, which I upgraded to the 3V from Knife Center, and then later they had a DLT trading exclusive that had the coated blade. But again, we're talking about the base models. You can get both of these in satin. On the Yojimbo 2, you're going to get a very well done heat treated at a very high heat treat S30V that's coming in at 3.125 inches, so very similar blade lengths. Both of these knives have 4.5 inch handles. I'm sure a lot of you are probably surprised and maybe even opened up your eyes a little bit as to how close these two knives compare. Overall length, you're talking about 7.7 inches on the AD20.5, and you're talking about 7.6 inches on the Yojimbo 2. Well, what about weight? Let's go ahead and bring the scale out here. We're not going to go off of advertised weight. We're going to actually do a comparison of these two actual knives. The blade steels should not make that much of a difference, so we'll let the Yojimbo 2 go first. That's coming in at 4.1 ounces, very respectable weight. What about the AD20.5? Coming in at 3.8, so the weight advantage going to the Demko by 0.2 ounces. Not a very big difference though when you think about in-pocket weight. They're both going to carry very nicely. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the actual blades a little bit more. So you have a flat ground, thick geometry sheep's foot blade done on the AS10A on the Demko AD20.5. On the Yojimbo 2, you have a hollow ground blade that does have a thick stock. Very fine tip. Might even say that you have to worry about a little bit, but I've had mine a little bit over 8 months. I do use this frequently. I had tried to clean it up a little bit for the video. I think I got most of it off. It's hard to get the coated blade clean. And I've had no issues whatsoever. Now the hollow ground blade and the thin edge that Spyderco puts on these from the factory performs really well, but having said that, this edge continues to perform well, and as I strop and use it, it gets better and better. Now you can see I have stropped it up. It's starting to get a little bit of a polished edge, but you can still see some tooth action in there. So this does have plenty of bite. So both perform very well. How do they look compared to one another? You do have a little bit more thickness on the Yojimbo 2 and a little bit more of a fine tip on the Yojimbo 2. You have a thinner edge and thinner behind the edge due to the hollow grind on the Yojimbo 2. Both have very good utility shaped blades. Both slice material really well. And I would say the S30V has held the edge longer than the AS10A in this instance. What about these handles? So on the factory Demko AD20.5, you get Gravity with bidirectional pattern. Really nice pattern, very good work knife. It's going to give you lots of grip. It's going to have very good ergonomics. It's going to lock you in place, and it's going to be ready to go. It feels very comfortable in hand and carries very nice in hand, or gives you very good purchase, so that when you're working, you can be confident your hand is not going to slip out. Now, what about the Yojimbo 2? Very similarly, the thing here is you have one big scallop here as opposed to a single scallop for the front finger, so you can actually move these two fingers around to play with hand position. It also, even though this is on the blade, has a nice scallop section on the back of the blade, so it really does lock you in. This has very nice ergonomics. The ergonomics on this are so good, and the length so nice that it gives plenty of space for the pinky. I actually moved away from my Para 3 to the Yojimbo because I actually like this knife so much more. I can't believe it's not more popular. I know it's probably not the most beautiful knife out there, but I think it's one of the most interesting designs. It stands out more than the Para 3 does to me. It has a hollow grind. It has a very acute tip. Very good for detailed work. Nice hollow grind again for slicing through materials. And it just has a thick stock, which means this thing is going to hold up to hard use. Not to say that the Para 3 doesn't, but where this shines is, again, the ergos, the positions that you can move into comfortably to use this knife. It's a really good knife. Nice ergos. The G10 on it is very grippy without being overdone. Both knives offer tip up, tip down carry. At least I think so. It's been so long since I've seen that in the Gravity, I'm not 100% sure. You do not get a reversible deep carry clip with either one, hence why you see a MXG and a Lynch Northwest on these, but you do get a very nice clip, very strong. Going to keep it in pocket. Going to be easy to grab these and rip them out of the pocket in an emergency, like if you needed to grab something, you're holding something you needed to cut, make a quick cut, clean, get it in and out of the pocket. Very, very nice. So good blades, ergos, very comparable. I'd give the advantage to the S30V. I'd give the shape advantage to the Demko. I like the shape on it a little bit more. It's a little stronger out on the tip because of the way that it's designed, and I think you get just a little bit more cutting edge with the Yojimbo. Just a little bit more. Actually, it's quite a bit more cutting edge there, but for detailed work, these both work really nicely. You just got to be careful to make sure you don't lose your tip when you're stropping or sharpening it up. Ouch, that hurt a little bit. So make sure that you you keep a good tip on those. This one's going to be easy because it's a straight line. You don't have to do anything. You have a little curve here, so as you're stropping, you just got to remember to lift up on the blade to make sure that you get the whole thing. Don't go too far so you don't roll your tip. What else can I say about the ergos? I mean, both feel really good in hand. You do feel, I do want to say, you do feel a little bit of the compression lock here and the way that it's scalloped. You do feel it, but it's not hot and it's not sharp anywhere, but you can just kind of feel where it is. Trying to think where, oh yeah, so if you're flicking it, you do have to be careful. Don't put your finger down in here too close, or your hand in here too close if you're doing it with the thumb, because what'll happen is when this opens, it'll actually pinch over here. That's why I was saying, like, if you have the meat hanging over, you do have to be careful for when that happens, because it will bite you a little bit. It doesn't hurt terribly, but it doesn't feel great either. Both have very thin profiles for carry, so very carry friendly. Very lightweight, again, as we mentioned earlier. Now, the one thing that I will say as far as the design of the lock systems, you do get 100% lock up here with the way that this is designed. Let's see, you see that little notch there? That's actually where the shark lock engages with the blade, and it completely locks it up very strong. The difference on the compression lock is, even though you do have a thin liner lock looking device here, what it actually does, it engages both with the bottom and the top of the blade here through that compression lock. So while it might look like it's 20, it's actually 80 because it's contacting the blade twice, and you're getting that compression lock that locks it down into place. So you do get a very strong lock with that compression lock as well. Let's talk about price. Now, for AUS 10A, I think It would have been better if they did a 154 cm instead of AUS 10A. I think 154 cm is better rounded and has better edge retention. AUS 10A is good when done correctly, but for $159, I feel like they could have thrown 154 cm on here, and it's a superior steel to AUS 10A in my opinion. I like it again because of all the traits. Very good edge retention, ease of sharpening, corrosive resistant, very good strong steels. On the Yojimbo 2, Spyderco continues to do their proven, tried and true S30V steel with a very high heat treat, which makes it perform really well. It has superior edge retention to AUS 10A, even to 154 cm, while still being fairly easy to maintenance and sharpen, corrosive resistant, all the pillars. It's a very balanced steel. There's a reason that companies still want to use S30V, because it is very proven to be very easy to produce with a good heat treat, and it's going to perform very, very well. The Yojimbo 2 is coming in at 172 versus the 159. The AD20.5 is being made in Taiwan. The Yojimbo 2 is being made in the US. So 160 to 172 bucks is your difference. You're getting better steel, USA made knife versus a Taiwan made knife, which is essentially like getting a USA made knife, just not made in the USA. They are our allies and companions. We're very friendly with them. Their production is very similar to ours, but you're getting AUS 10A, which I don't think compares as well as S30V. So for me, in the end, I would spend my money on the Yojimbo 2. My hope is that it'll continue to grow in popularity and you'll start to see more and more. I think I saw RC, can't think of the name of it, but they started making some of their really cool micarta scales for it, and I know Titanium makes their titanium scales for it. I'd like to see them come out with their what is it, the one that they make on the bug out, is it the Lotus scales? I'd like to see them do this kind of contouring on their titanium for the Yojimbo 2. I would snap those up in a heartbeat. I love those scales. But the factory scale is really well done. You get really nice texturing, and again, I do like this. Is comfortable to use for long periods of time, and I like it because it is a lightweight carry that allows me to carry my companion gear in the pocket with it. And that's not to say I do not like the Shark Lock. I just think the S30V and the price point and the country of origin and build quality on this are so good at such a good price, it's hard to pick the AD20.5 over it. Now, I do like the lock on here because it's a little bit easier to operate with either hand, so I do feel like that gives it an advantage. And I do like the blade shape of the Shark's Foot a little bit more. I wish they could have made it longer and maybe just flattened this out and not had the back spacer come all the way around. I think if they could have managed to do like a short screw here to let this go into the liner and then just had this one go all the way through, I think that's all that they would have needed to make this work, and then made the blade a little bit longer. I think that would have been cool to have just a little bit more cutting edge, but it is good for what it is. So in the end, my pick today is actually going to be the Yojimbo 2. I like it better overall, but I love the AD20.5. It is a good solid knife, good purchase, especially in the 3V. I think that is a more interesting steel because it is stronger, but do not shy away from the AD20.5 and AUS 10A because I feel like they worked out the heat treat. It does work really well. You can see mine's gotten lots of use. You can tell I've cleaned it multiple times and used it again, and it strops right up. I have not had to sharpen it yet. I strop it up, goes right back to work. I got a little bit of some old paper here, and my fan in the background is going to blow it around, but you can just see, you know, it's plenty sharp. Oops, paper folded over. It's because it's folded over right there, but it's plenty sharp, has an excellent edge, just awesome. I mean, strops right up and performs well. You know, I feel like it lasts long, and I had a couple of them. I had the clip point, and I had this one before I upgraded to the 3V, so AUS 10A works well. Let me know down in the comment, who would you pick as your winner? I would be interested. I have a feeling the majority are going to go with the AD20.5, and that is not a wrong choice. Again, I just think for the money and the performance and what you're getting with the Yojimbo 2, it's severely overlooked. It's a great EDC. I prefer it over the Para 3. Again, I think the ergos are better. I think the hollow grind performs better. I like the strength that the thicker stock gives you as it gets up towards the blade, so you have that strength in addition to that cutting performance. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, leave a like. If you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing if you are not already subscribed. Make sure everyone have that notification bell turned on so you don't miss alerts when future videos drop. Thank you for all the support. Links are in the description. If you use those links, it does help the channel, and there are discount codes to other vendors that I don't have affiliates with, but those codes will help you, which is why I wanted to get them and put them down there. Thank you again for the support. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope all of you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace